Barefoot, drunk, more winning. John Daly.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Talkin Athletics with MTJ. I am 1/3 of your co-host, Joe, here with Mikey and Tom. And we're going to begin with a discussion we had very similar to last year, and that is the NBA All-Star Weekend. This year, we saw a probably least competitive All-Star game of all time, being that the East broke a record and scored over 200 points. I think they scored like 212. And the West scored like over, like 180.
Yeah.
And they actually even had legends come in before the game with like Dr. J, and Mr. Triple Double, Oscar Robinson, come in and try to rally the troops to be competitive. And, well, apparently the message was not received because it was not competitive. So all of the other, professional shows, ESPN, Around the Horn, PTI, they're all talking about how they can possibly fix this East versus West game, or I should just say the All-Star game period. Do you guys have any thoughts?
I thought Oscar Robinson was dead this entire time. That's embarrassing, too, because I'm obviously didn't watch back in his day because I wasn't a thought, but I thought he was dead. I want to know what I said last year about the All-Star game, because if I defended it, I was wrong. It's just so boring. It's like, I get it, like...
This year was awful.
It was...
Like, I didn't watch. Again, like I said I wasn't going to watch.
I watched. But when you have people literally say the celebrity game was more competitive and more compelling to watch, that's a...
And to be honest,
We've never said that before.
I thought this was the worst celebrity game, too. This celebrity game was by far the most dysfunctional, like... People just running around.
The celebrity game's
crazy.
the only thing I didn't watch, but I didn't hear anything really good about it. I heard Michael Parsons just like
Micah dominated.
did
CJ
everything.
Stroud, Mike and CJ both look like professional athletes out there playing with a bunch of celebrities.
Did he?
Puka, yeah,
That's not too surprising.
With ease. No, it.
But like I said,
Kai Cenat was left wide open by Michael Parsons. I saw that.
But you've seen those clips. Like it just looks like a circus. Like,
why are active athletes playing in these? If you are an athlete, you should not be playing against celebrities.
Build your crowd. Build that.
I don't care though. Like it's so unfair.
And CJ's,
It's
trying to.
just for fun, though.
Make Houston be recognized.
But who has fun if you're not one of the athletes?
Kevin Hart.
Yeah,
Kevin
because
Hart had a ton of fun, and he's not an athlete.
But there weren't nearly as many athletes playing.
Okay,
active athletes. So you didn't have active NFL players playing. You had washed up NFL players who were 80. You know what I mean? Like Oscar Robinson would play. He was the type of guy who played against Kevin Hart when he was winning all those MVPs. I don't know. I just don't think active players should be in it. I just think it makes it not as fun for the celebrities. It makes it not as fun to watch because somebody like Michael Parsons can drop 40. Nobody should be scoring that many points in a celebrity All-Star game.
Right.
Like, that's just wild.
But like I said, that's not really the issue. The celebrity game, the actual All-Star game, was just.
It was just really boring. I turned it on when it first started. And I watched legitimately like the first 2 minutes, and then I played 2K for the rest of the game. And every once in a while, I looked up at the TV, but I remembered hearing clink, 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 like every 5 seconds, because everybody was shooting 3-pointers.
Yep, and dunks.
And then Karl Anthony Towns was dunking.
Yep, he dropped 50, which used to be impressive in the All-Star game. It is no longer impressive.
Well, I mean, you can drop it's easier to drop 50. In the All-Star
100%.
game, slashing than anything because it's open.
You could have dropped at least 40 in that game with if you heat up behind the arc there. With,
even in
the
the lane.
defensive effort that was being displayed.
No, I'm saying even the lane alone, it's so open. They don't even go down there.
Yeah. How many blocks were recorded? Do we know? Like that would be.
I'm more interested in the block attempts. How many block attempts were there? Maybe 3.
I think there was only 2 fouls called, which is again like an all-time low.
That's wild.
And I'm coming as obviously the biggest NBA hater on this podcast. It's like taking an NBA regular season game that doesn't mean anything,
right?
And then taking that to an extreme of no one cares about defense, and now we've got the best shooters in the world.
Ever, yeah.
Like we've seen Steph hit deep threes
in real
with
games.
Defenders in his mouth. Like I've seen stuff like that from him in real situations to the point where me watching him shoot logo threes
It's not
it's a warm up. Like it's just an everyday warm up.
Half of it's
not
the
entertaining.
awe. Half of it's the awe of him doing it.
That's not shocking anymore.
With a defender in his face, like, oh my gosh.
Like, oh wow, he decided to do that, and it went in. Now it's just like, okay, I know he can make that.
Exactly, and this is the All-Star game, so you're expecting to see the best of the best, and we're getting to see them shoot, which is cool if you like that. But it's not entertaining in my opinion.
So who do we blame for this? Like, is there like the coaches we blame, the league, the players, the media?
I think the NFL realized that there was nobody to blame, and they need to just stop playing the game. Like,
you mean
and
the
they
NBA
made
or
it,
the NFL?
No, the NFL, and they put an emphasis on all the other like games going on. Like,
well, they still have
all the skill. Yeah, but it's flag football. Like they realize, okay, no one's gonna hit each other no matter what we do. There's nothing we can do because nobody wants to get hurt. So let's somehow make this entertaining. And they're like, flag football, perfect. Flag football has been rising in popularity. It's still competitive. It's just it's football, non-physical. That's exactly what we need to do. So let's do it. I think if the NBA just accepted that the All-Star game cannot be a normal basketball game, once that's accepted, that there's nothing they can do to avoid that, and they embrace that and they start trying to work around it and figure out what else they can do, I think All-Star Weekend will become a lot more fun because, these other events, like the Sabrina and Steph was by far the most exciting part of the whole thing.
Absolutely.
Like, any event, the All-Star Game, Celebrity Game, the skills, anything you take, like Sabrina scoring enough points to be able to go to the finals in the actual NBA contest, 3-point contest, made that event incredible. That event was by far the most exciting part.
No, I completely agree with you there 100%. And imagine that's the one or the one place that I think the WNBA can rest their hat right now is, hey, if Sabrina doesn't show up, that whole All-Star weekend is a dud, in my opinion. The whole weekend
agree.
without her.
Yeah.
Like, even the skills competition stuff was a joke. Who told Anthony Edwards that he could just, shoot left-handed? I know he said that he was going to do it beforehand, but it was awful.
It was so bad. He was hitting like the
He hit the
backboard.
corner of the backboard twice on back-to-back shots.
It was tough.
And continued to shoot that third shot, which looked pretty damn good.
I liked the confidence.
Considering how bad the first two looked, the third one almost, it got rim. But yeah, no, he still missed them all, and it's embarrassing. But we saw one guy do that in the NHL All-Star game this year. I can't remember who.
He played left-handed.
No, he just didn't try. Like, he just didn't take it very seriously.
Yeah, but that's only one guy.
Well, there was going to be. I think there was going to be a fine.
I think everybody else took it pretty serious.
Editing to do. Was there a fine for the NHL players? Was there not? You figure it out.
For what do you mean, in the game or just that skills competition?
I think all encompassing. I think honestly he was the only one that didn't really put effort into it. That's what I'm saying. Like, I think he also was the only one.
Because I feel like in the All-Star game, a lot of people did.
I think everybody puts effort into scoring.
Oh yeah.
So I think the effort's still technically there, but like with that situation, he went in a showman type of way of, I'm going to shoot left-handed.
Yes,
I'm not taking this serious. But I feel like in every other instance throughout the weekend, everyone did take it serious. Maybe not the celebrity All-Star game as much, but that's like, who cares?
Yeah, I mean, it's...
But obviously defense wasn't there.
I think we're just in a different world of All-Star games where... Back in the early 2000s,
with
the early
Kobe
90s,
there,
but people
saying we are going to play. We had that Mamba mentality.
I think technology has changed it.
People weren't taking regular season rest days for their body. You know what I mean? Like back in those days, where correct me if I'm wrong.
Right.
There.
So then shouldn't they have not tried as hard back then as that would be their rest days? Is All-Star Weekend?
No,
it wasn't. That's what I'm saying.
Because they didn't have that mentality of taking a rest
It
day.
wasn't a thing where now it's in the back of these guys' mind of how many millions of dollars.
Yeah.
I mean, we saw the NFL showed us how easy it is to blow an Achilles tendon. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Think if an NBA guy does that, playing defense in an NBA All-Star game, he's going to feel really dumb. And it's a lot of money. It's a lot of risk for essentially no reward.
Well, yeah,
Back in the day, they weren't thinking that way. It was just, hey, I'm a competitor. I get paid to compete, and now I'm competing.
Back in their day,
everyone's more business savvy with their minds.
Back in their day, they made as much money as a doctor. Now they make as much money to have their own personal doctor.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
So we're just in a different generation where I miss those days where you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I watched a clip of Kobe's I think his first All-Star game or maybe it was either Kobe or LeBron's. No, it had to be Kobe's because AI was there talking about how They're gonna let that Kobe kid play his one-on-one game, and MJ said he doesn't wait for the game to come to him. He goes out and he just takes it.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, you know what I mean? Like those games with all those guys, they were getting psyched up for the game. Like it's the best on best, and they wanted to show out and show that they could cover that guy, not only just score on him. And now no one's guarding anybody, so you're not showing anybody up.
I think technology is. I think you
The
nailed.
court was cool.
I think you nailed it on the head with the money part, and then when it comes to like the lack of like the fear of injury, I think you nailed on the head the what causes that. But I think what causes the lack of competition is also technology. We can see any stat for any player we want right now, whether it's like watching it happen or looking at the paper. So at the end of the day, it's not as embarrassing if you're not going to try as hard in the All-Star game to prove you can guard somebody because all your stats are all out there. Like everyone in the world knows you. You know what I mean? You don't really need to prove it as much. I feel like there's not as much as an urgency to prove it because you're at everybody's fingertips. I think that kind of goes in.
That's something that I hadn't really taken into account. What I mean? Back when we were kids, if you didn't have the NBA season pass, you might see a clip here or there of people,
or even it could be
small market teams.
ESPN you would only get to see them at the All-Star.
Yeah, ESPN Sports Center. And at that time you'd be like, hey, MJ dogged Starks last night. The Knicks are trash. And you're like, yo, okay, whatever. And you really don't have anything to say. But if you were like, yo, KD just crossed the crap out of LeBron last night, like you're trying to talk crap to me, and I'm trying to defend LeBron, I'd be like, yeah, well, here's 90 plays that he's done that is way better than everything KD. You know what I mean? Fair. So I feel like there's not as much of a precedence to prove mono that you're the best outside of like a playoff and finals atmosphere.
I think you guys certainly make some great points, but I do also want to say I think the media has a little bit of things to play as well, because the media has really made it so much about rings and how many scoring titles you win. And I mean, the All-Star game really is just not important. I mean, really, does anyone care that Kevin Garnett was a 15-time All-Star? No. I care about that he won a ring in 2008. I care that, he was an MVP in 2004. I only care about certain things, even though, it's really impressive that Kevin Garnett's a 15-time All-Star, but in reality, no one really cares. I mean, do you guys think Kyle Korver cared that he was a one-time All-Star? Or do you think he cared that he won, 2 rings?
I think he cared that he was a one-time All-Star just because he was only a one-time All-Star. But I don't think there's guys out there that are like 6-time All-Stars that are like, I don't care that you were an 8-time All-Star. I was a 6-time. Like, I don't care. You know what I mean? So I get where you were going with it.
And that was another thing, though.
In which era?
The NBA,
is this the fan voting era, or is this when the media was voting you in and it was people that
more
were
prestigious,
qualified, that were saying, hey, I recognize you as being at the top of this league? Because when fan voting started, that's when I think it all went downhill for every sport.
Well, I also think, though, that it sets a precedence that really the NBA doesn't care either, in the fact that if someone is injured, so obviously the injuries are a part of the game, and I'm not saying about the All-Star game itself, but, Joel Embiid this year was injured, so they had to find a replacement. Now, it varies year from year how many different All-Stars we have, because a person who is injured and was selected as an All-Star is named an All-Star, but then so is their replacement. So some years...
Well, I think that should be, though.
But really, the All-Star game should be the top 24 players.
Yeah, but if somebody can't compete due to injury, he has to be replaced by somebody who deserves to replace them.
That's
fair.
So, like, All-Star replacement, because that's how Kyle Korver is a one-time All-Star. He was a replacement.
If you want to put a replacement at the end.
Let's change the titles around here.
Okay. What do we got?
An Olympian roster.
Oh, I like this.
That's where I'm going to make him choose right here.
All right.
Guy a week before the Olympics gets hurt. Replacement goes on. Is he not an Olympian?
No, he's an Olympian, but
so the other guy that never went to the Olympics, he was on the Olympic team, had his ticket booked, was on the roster because he got hurt. He is not an Olympian in your eyes.
No, I'm saying he is an Olympian.
So, but
the guy that replaced him should have a little asterisk.
So the guy that went to the Olympics...
Boy, if you ain't telling people you were an Olympian...
Oh, my God. The guy that went to the Olympics and competed in the Olympics is an Olympian asterisk.
And let's say he
That's
won.
Wild.
Let's say he won.
Well, if he won, then yeah, obviously.
Okay, so,
oh my gosh,
so if you're an All-Star and win, you should get the All-Star, but if you don't, you should get an All-Star reserve?
How much is he playing?
He's on the winning team. What
That's
if that
dude,
guy?
Your line is getting super
Yeah,
thin
you're really
here.
splitting
It
hairs.
depends on how much he plays and how meaningful his minutes were. Like
again, you're
a soccer-
kind of
what about a
comparing
soccer
apples
player?
to oranges right here. If I am
No,
what
I
if
feel
don't
like
think
you
we
are.
I don't think we are.
I think you are, sir.
no, because
Yeah.
if I
I just
say-
you're
changed,
there,
I
you're
changed
there.
one word, NBA All-Star to Olympian.
and I
That's the
didn't
only
change
thing I
my
changed.
subject. I literally said if he was a replacement Olympian, I would put an asterisk. But then when you said you then changed it again, saying,
said
"Well,
if he
what if he
won?"
won?" Then it's like, "Well, yeah, oh my goodness,
He deserves it because
he
he won.
deserved it." But
But
then,
now you're saying he doesn't deserve it because he didn't
Yeah,
win
but
it
that's
as
an
much as his
individual
other
No,
teams.
but he
versus.
didn't deserve
Are we-
it. No,
I'm
Joe.
thinking like swimming is what
Well,
I'm
Joe,
thinking
you can't
right
say
now.
that he.
I'm thinking, okay, here's one.
Hold on.
X Games.
No, can we go on? I have it right here because
Okay.
you went over the cross point of it. So in your eyes, you said he deserved it because he won.
Yes.
But you also said that he didn't deserve it because he didn't deserve to be there and competing
didn't
in the first
qualify.
place.
He didn't
so how
qualify.
can he be deserving and not deserving at the same
Because
time?
he just
that is the
proved me
question.
wrong.
I got a question
He
for
just
you.
proved me
But
wrong.
he's not even an Olympian in your eyes. So
He would be if he wins it, because then he just proved all the doubters
what if he
wrong.
got bronze?
I got a question for you, Joe.
Like, where is the cutoff? Is top
Medals.
10?
No, top.
So
top-
if he
top
finishes
3.
4 out of 30.
okay, so you said you
He's
were
not
thinking
an
about
Olympian.
swimming, right? What if
Yeah.
he had the slowest part of all of the
Oh, and like
splits?
a team relay.
Yeah, what if he had the slowest part and they still medaled?
And they still well, if they medaled, then yeah, he's an Olympian.
Actually, this would be my prime. What
Because
about
like I said, if they medaled,
So if yeah, but what I'm
Wrestling.
saying, if this guy only plays like 5-10 minutes out of the 40, if he contributes stats, then yeah, I think he deserves it. If he has stats contributions, I mean, because like in the swimming one, he had the slowest split.
Right.
He probably didn't even, or he or she, whoever you're talking about in your head, probably didn't have the fastest split in compared to other teams.
right, which is why.
So he might have held them back, even though they
Good
still
point.
won.
So they overcame him.
if anything in my eyes?
That's why
I
it's
feel like the
like
guy
apples
that
to
wasn't
oranges.
there.
that's why I agree with you.
Because
That's
there's
why
5 players on the team. If he goes out there and plays for 3 minutes in the NBA All-Star, it's like
I totally
okay.
agree with you, but I say it's unfair to split the hairs. If they're there, they're there.
That's
you
right.
know?
I think if anything, the guy with the injury
But
that didn't play
I'm
in
cool
the
with
game.
an asterisk though, or a reserve.
Reserve is
I'd be
nicer
cool with
than
that.
asterisk.
That's right. Like I think the guy that wasn't there or didn't play in the game should be the one that gets the asterisks on there.
No.
And you could say that is the replacement, but that's where
No, I think if anybody does, it would be the one replacing the guy injured because the guy injured was selected to be there.
Right, he
Over
quote,
the
unquote,
original-
earned it.
over
They
the
feel he's a
replacement, you know
top
what I mean?
24 player if we're talking NBA
Yeah.
All-Star.
Or he was chosen over the replacement.
Okay, I see what you're saying there from an accolade perspective. And
But I think that's where Joe's coming. It seems.
Right.
strictly from an accolade perspective, I get where you're coming from, but then I guess it does flip on its head where the woulda, coulda, shouldas of
Right.
hey, if that guy balls out and plays the whole
Right.
game, especially in this day and age where anybody could have dropped 50 last.
Oh, absolutely.
in
And that's
the
why I'm
All-Star
saying if
game.
he's only playing for 3 minutes, if he dropped 50 in 3 minutes, oh my gosh, I wouldn't know what to do.
He deserves to be the only All-Star.
Who logged the least amount of minutes in the NBA All-Star game? That's where I don't think they just. split
I
everything
imagine it
fairly
was either a
evenly?
guy who's been there a lot or a guy who has not been there a lot and was
Right.
like, how did he make it? Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
I'm gonna look up the official box score.
Because, like,
Continue on though.
I don't remember a single LeBron highlight.
Right, exactly.
I really didn't. I turned
The whole
on,
game was a highlight.
watched
What
a
do you
couple
mean?
minutes, played 2K, and every once in a while just looked up and I was like, this is so boring. I don't even want to watch it, but I need to watch
Yeah,
it.
I
felt like.
watched it.
I was like, I should watch it. It
Paul
was
George
tough.
logged 9 minutes. That's the lowest that I'm seeing.
Nice. Like Mikey said, so a guy that's been there a few times, it
Yeah.
was just like, okay, cool. Actually, wow. Wait, you're telling
Still
me
made 5 buckets.
Kawhi Leonard played more than Paul George?
Kawhi's,
Crazy.
having statistically one of the best.
Yeah,
I know,
times
but
his
I'm
career.
just-
Kawhi played 10 minutes
I'm
and
just
12
saying
seconds.
that Kawhi obviously has kind of had injury histories, and if we're truly concerned about injuries in the All-Star game,
I feel like they both have though. I mean,
true,
PG,
true,
you know, yeah.
Paul George, but not.
Gilchrist Alexander, 27 minutes. Towns, 27 minutes.
I can't. believe-
Halliburton, 27. Lillard,
Well, he
27.
was. That was in his hometown.
I know, and they didn't give it to him because he didn't deserve it.
Nah, he played pretty good though.
He did play really well.
He attempted. Oh, he went shot 10 for 14 from 3.
That's really good.
That's what
yeah.
you get when no one guards you.
Oh,
That's
absolutely.
yeah, but that's still better than what a lot of the other guys shot.
Absolutely.
Bam made a 3. MVP caliber right
You
there.
think he yelled "Bam" after he made it?
He should have if he
I
didn't.
would have.
I see what you said.
But that's right. Like I've saw.
Oh, what a miss, man! I would have developed a 3-point shot just to be able to say that.
Bam.
Yeah. Every time. That'd be so annoying. Imagine guarding a guy and he just keeps dropping threes every time.
Bam!
Bam! Bam! You're going to think of that every time someone hits a 3-pointer in your face
Yeah,
for the
but
rest of
people
your
will
life.
probably play really hard defense. No, don't let this man shoot. No. Like get right up on him. Like
And then
I
he
will
blows
literally
by him.
Foul you.
Then he blows by him and dunks and yells "Bam" when he dunks it.
Oh my god, this is
It's
perfect.
unstoppable.
This is
It's an
perfect.
unstoppable move.
Oh my gosh.
Jesus.
Well,
All-Star Weekend's boring.
Well, you say
We need to
that,
fix
though.
it.
There was definitely one major highlight, and we already kind of somewhat touched upon it, and that is Steph versus Sabrina. I thought this contest was, like, by far, like we've already said, the best thing this weekend, only to be ruined by Kenny the Jet Smith complaining. The fact that it's like, oh, she's not shooting from the women's. She should have shot from the women's. How do you guys feel about that? Because obviously, I texted you guys and said, literally, like 5 hours before that event occurred, Sabrina herself, which I feel like people should have reminded Kenny the Jet Smith, she herself decided, I'm going to shoot from the NBA three-point line, not the women's. So I feel like Kenny should have realized she made that choice. It wasn't like, you know, Adam Silver was going like, hey, Sabrina, you're going to shoot from here. There's no if, then, or buts.
I kind of got like a two-part. For one, I got lucky as hell on that one because I
You
don't
were
know
seeing
where.
the future, yeah.
I thought I saw it somewhere, and then like everyone was saying not, and then
That's why I texted you. I was like,
Yeah,
dude, you go
I got
think
lucky.
of some lucky numbers and
Yeah.
play the lottery.
I don't know where I thought I saw it, but I did. But also, yeah, I thought that was a rare miss from Kenny.
Yeah.
Because Kenny the Jet is a pretty respectable dude. Everyone really seems to like him. I like watching it. Like
The whole
I like when
TNT crew, yeah.
Yeah, they're all great. And so I think it was a rare miss. I think he probably didn't see and just assumed they told her she was.
I agree with Kenny. She put up a better score from the women's three-point line in the women's All-Star game, did she not?
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely, yeah.
She could have potentially beat Steph had she not.
She chose not to, though.
chose
I
not
agree, and that's fine. That was her choice to
She
not
felt
choose to.
that she was a better
I
shooter
think she
than
made
Steph.
the wrong decision. She
Well, I mean,
lost. In hindsight, why didn't she go up to the line where we could have digitally?
If
the
I
court was
did
really
I
cool,
not
but why
see the
didn't she?
video? What did I not hear what Kenny said correctly? I thought he said he thought
I-
it was wrong that they made her do that from the three.
That's where maybe,
Was that
and that's
wrong
where
then?
maybe I didn't hear. I thought he was questioning. I thought he was just questioning why she was shooting.
Let's do a
from the
fact check
three-point
because
line.
now I'm confused.
That's right. I
Because
just
that's
saw
why
a
I
clip of
texted
it.
you guys. She chose. She
Yeah.
decided.
No,
Yeah,
she
no,
did.
that it was. Yeah, I do know that it was her choice, but that's where I think she made the wrong choice. Like, why you put up a better number from closer, and she said she practices from back there, and that's where
Right.
she normally shoots from. But
Anyway,
like,
yeah.
you put up a better score shooting from the normal 3-point range. That is your normal, is a normal everyday practice line that you're used to seeing.
But that's the thing. She is a competitor. She felt that she was the best shooter anywhere, so she felt like, oh, I don't care where we
I
shoot
agree.
from. I'm going to beat you.
It's respectable.
right.
She was
Obviously, the
She
closer
was
you
wrong.
get to the basket, yeah, the more
That's all
simple
I'm
math,
saying.
more buckets you're going to make.
So if that's where I'm saying, so if Kenny's point was like, why is she shooting from as far back as she is? Like,
Because she wanted
why?
to prove a point.
Well, she didn't prove that point. She could have proven more
I
of a
don't
point.
know.
In my eyes, she proves more of a point. Don't get me wrong, she put on a great show. I said that already.
Right.
She puts on and proves more of a point if she wins the contest.
No, because then now you have people coming out saying, well, she only won because she was closer to the basket. And now all of a sudden, it's instead of going, wow, Sabrina, did you
disagree.
see that? What she did against Steph? Well, she only won because, she was 2 feet closer to the basket. I mean,
I disagree.
And playing with a smaller ball versus now, wow, look what Sabrina did. They both shot from different.
Okay, yeah. I will stand by what I said. Rare miss from
Okay.
Kenny. I think he did not word what he was trying to say the way he intended to.
What was it?
He said she should have shot from the women's line. She would have won.
I agree with
And
that.
I think a lot of people,
Misconstrued.
I don't think they realized what he meant exactly. I do actually agree with what he said. I think she probably would have come really close because
Well, she came close from the men's.
a big reason why I was so impressed with how well she did was the fact that if you think about it, no matter who you are, guy or girl, if you shot from your designated three-point line your entire life, inherently your shooting percentage from that spot is going to be better from anywhere else deeper or closer than that. If that's where you shoot, inherently you've shot most there, your body's used to it, the length is the same, your eyes are adjusted, it's just a better opportunity. So I was so impressed that she scored 26 because she was shooting from a range that she doesn't normally shoot from. It's deeper. Her body's not used to it. It was incredibly impressive.
She said that she normally practices at that range.
Oh no, I'm saying
is.
no. You're right. She normally practices. She has that range. Yeah. But when she's in a game, her first thought, if she's in open territory, is not I'm gonna take this shot 4 feet behind the line. It's if I'm open and I have a good look to get to the line right in front of me, I'm gonna take a step before the ball's passed to me and then shoot it because I'm wide open. Don't tell me it's not. Though I mean,
well, no, because
you go to the 3-point line if you are wide open. You just
yes, but obviously the NBA and WNBA there are defenders in the way that the defense is
I know,
shifting.
but I'm saying if you find your spot wide open and you're 4 feet behind the line and no one's near you and the ball's going to come to you, you're going to say, "Let me get a couple feet closer because I have the same opportunity and a better shot."
But then also you got to remember passing lanes because if you take 2 steps in closer and all of a sudden
I understand that, Joe. I'm saying in a situation if you are
shooting.
Yeah, like what I'm saying is if the situation pertains to no matter what happens right now, you are going to be wide open to shoot this ball.
Oh, absolutely, you take a step in.
Yeah, because you're just, and at the end of the day, it's easier. Your body's more used to it. You're still shooting more than that, even though like Steph Curry has the range, he can shoot from anywhere on the court.
Absolutely.
But he still shoots more threes at the 3-point line than anywhere else. You know what I mean? Because it's just he's shot more there. So yeah, I think if she shot from the women's 3, she probably would have had a really good chance to win because at the men's 3, she beat everybody else there that was supposed to be there to be in the contest.
Had 26.
Yeah. Well, I'm saying she put herself an opportunity to beat them because she would have gone to the finals because her and Dame tied.
Well, actually, a lot of and Halliburton as well as Kat as well as.
I think whoever shoots second there wins.
Really? Ooh.
I mean, between her and Steph?
Yeah.
I don't.
Really? That's right.
I think Steph's the greatest shooter ever, man.
That's right. I mean, I just think that Steph sees
and he had
the
an
numbers.
Unfair
that guy,
advantage.
he probably beats the other NBAers by maybe. You're right. He probably beats him by 1 or 2.
He only beat her by 3.
Right.
That's
where I was
impressive.
thinking of that because I did watch that.
I mean, the fact it went to the final rack, that's
that
all I kept saying
rack.
was I just want this to be close. I didn't care who won. For him to
go
go to the final rack to beat her.
It would have been cool to see either of them win.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So do you think it would have been more harmful to her if she would have won because it would have brought out more of the boo birds like Joe was saying?
I think it was a win-win no matter what because if Steph wins, congratulations.
I'm saying if she would have moved in and shot from the WNBA 3 and won.
A lot of people would have unjustly hated her for it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Because the world is very negative, Tom.
People are already hating on her now about it. People are already hating about her now about it. Because she used a woman's ball.
Right.
Because she chose to shoot from further. She was stupid for shooting from further.
I agree.
That's what people are saying. If she chose to shoot from shorter, people who don't understand basketball would have been like, well, obviously she won. She's shooting from shorter.
But that's where if you are an a WNBA player, an NBA player.
Right. Okay.
Especially a WNBA player right now, you want ballers' respect, don't you? You want...
No, your demographic for
I was thinking that you were trying to gain. I
think they have the ballers' respect. I think they have NBA players' respect now.
NBA players, I'd say
Are you talking about like the
I'm talking about people that watch
ballers?
No, I think your demographic, you're going for young people.
You're going for young girls trying to make
specifically girls. So I think what this did, it was a mission accomplished.
Yes.
No matter where she would have shot from. But I think your demographic, your secondary demographic is sports fans that don't know enough about women's basketball. And I think there's a lot of stupid sports fans out there that are like Joe said, are very sexist. And if they saw a shorter line, they inherently would go, well, obviously it's shorter. And she's using a smaller ball.
I'm just trying to.
But I think it's more impressive to everybody now saying, wow, she took on the challenge of shooting it from further and shot better than everybody but Steph, or as good.
Yeah. And it took Steph to the very last rack.
The greatest NBA shooter ever. It took him to the last 3 shots to beat her. That's crazy.
So I agree. I agree with everything you guys are saying there. I just am struggling to see a world where she wins and it doesn't inspire more little girls than her coming close did.
I don't think any more inspires. I think her and Caitlin Clark are a really good example of that.
So you
Because they
don't think
both
her
shoot so far.
No, I think because they are right now, Sabrina, because of this and her and Steph 3-point contest and how well she did, and then because of how incredible Caitlin Clark is in her respected sport, they are the biggest thing in sports right now.
I agree with you right now,
And we've never seen that with a women's sport other than the World Cup.
Well, but
I will say you could have reached more girls had she won, because that would have been frontline news.
I think it's frontline anywhere.
It was, because it was the best part of All-Star Game by far, like we've already said.
Yep.
I think you push it even further if she wins that game, and I think you can inspire more, more of your target demographic there, whatever that may be.
Okay, here's something that's kind of like reminds me of what you're talking about. Like the 2020 NBA Finals was LeBron's third championship with a third team in what is like 15th year?
Over the Heat, right?
Over the Heat, yeah. And in my personal opinion, it's a lot harder to play basketball when everybody else is playing their best. And I think if you take the world's best and you put them in a centralized location with no interference and no objection, you are inherently getting everybody's best. I feel that was what happened with the 2020 finals. But simply because fans were not there, people said it was easier. And guess what? Everyone's right. The shooting in that finals was probably the easiest. But everybody's shooting was the easiest. So I thought it was an incredibly impressive thing. But everybody took something that, yes, fans being there can mightily affect certain people. But it only affects certain people on the court. There are people on the court any given night in front of thousands and hundreds of thousands of people and millions of people watching that the fans don't affect them. So they do better. So they strive better. But when they're on equal footing, like Joe said, where they're not getting that extra boost or somebody else's psyche isn't getting taken out of the game by somebody who has nothing to do with what's going on, I think that finals is incredibly important and incredibly impressive. I think it was some of the best basketball the finals has ever seen, and I think the Heat team is a great example of why, because they were nobodies before that, and then they took off in that bubble, and everyone counted them out and saying that they weren't going to do the same thing. And lo and behold, the last 2 years they've just keep getting better in the finals again, in the playoffs again. Like, they are a great team, and we saw it start there, and we saw it blossom there. We saw a team find their identity. And I don't know. So I think people are going to find negatives in any switch situation. So I feel like if she went shorter on the 3-point line, I think there's so many people would have complained about it.
Plus, I think you tweeted it out or retweeted it or put it on Instagram about the Nike Just Shoot It.
Yeah.
Right. And again, I think it's just so wonderful right now, like you said, with Caitlin Clark and Sabrina, because Sabrina talked about the fact that when she was
Can I cut you off real quick?
Growing up.
I'm going to let you come back to it. But I had something that I wanted to finish with real quick. I think if she would have done it shorter, I think that would have given people ammunition to bury those young girls that found inspiration with what she did. I think a lot of bad people would have been like, yeah, well, why do you care? Why would you? It's not even that impressive. Like, it's not that good. She did it with shorter. Like, it would give them something else to add to their bag to argue against it.
Well, it goes right back into the argument, which I'll open up the can of worms, and I'm sure we'll dive into it.
We can come back after if you want. I want to let him get it.
If you put one of the NBA All-Star teams on the WNBA All-Star teams, the NBA All-Star team will win. You know, like if you were the shooting, you're taking one element of basketball and comparing it to straight shooting of the NBA, where I'm saying if you were to play basketball, it's very, very different.
Well, yeah.
And you're only taking the one element there, so that's where I think if she would have won, it would have opened up the can of worms of, okay, well, what is better? Like, is, the WNBA team comparable to an NBA team? And I think it gets that
I don't
conversation
think that would have
going more. Oh, exactly. And that's where I think the Boo Birds then come out and rain on that parade. But I think it opens that door to that conversation, which is going to open the door to, more equal pay, is where I was thinking in the long term of winning that. But I'll let Joe go on with the
So what I was just going to kind of wrap up with was the fact that, Sabrina had mentioned how when she was growing up, she idolized Steph Curry. They literally said, this was a dream to go against Steph Curry. I idolized Steph Curry. Now we have young girls and women now who can now idolize Sabrina as well as Caitlin Clark, saying, like, look, they stepped up. They faced the challenge. They didn't back down. They weren't afraid to just shoot it.
Yep.
Well, you say they, but it was she.
No, it's two of them.
Caitlin Clark.
Yes, I think,
Gotcha.
like Mikey had already said, both of them have incredible range, and we have young girls now who can kind of see themselves in them versus, like, am I Steph Curry? And kind of just looking and be like,
can't guard 30 feet.
Right.
At the end of the day.
That's where I think you would have gotten the same result, win or lose.
Like I said,
I know. I totally agree with that. I totally agree with that.
That's right. I'm struggling to fathom a world where the best result for her was to lose.
Close.
Like as a competitor,
I think the
best situation is she wins
lose.
from the NBA.
Yeah, that's best case scenario.
That's best case scenario.
I think the best part. I think the only thing that this needed to actually be successful though is her to do good, and she did.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Yes, because she did good, and it took. Can't stress this enough. Steph on the final rack to beat her. It wasn't like she really struggled from that distance. Like we said, it was in her range. She felt like, hey, you want me to step 2 feet back? That's fine. That's my mentality. Guess what? It's my range. It's not like we're taking 8 feet back.
I completely understand what you're saying. What I'm saying is winning better or losing better. I'll take winning. Any day of the week. You can take all the disadvantages you want. If it gives me a dub, I'll take it. Point case is simple. I'm a competitor. I want the win. Any competitor will tell you that. Period. All right. I get what you're saying with the range, but I'll take the win.
I mean, I consider myself a competitor.
Well, you can have the L. I will take the win. Thank you.
I mean, you didn't get the L or the win.
Sabrina got the L. She could have gotten the win.
I think she got a big one.
I think she got
a massive one. I think
this was bigger than...
Dude, you sound like a big Gen X or Gen Z.
This is a
moral wins. Everybody
bigger
gets a
than
trophy.
sports.
No, I don't think it had anything to do with moral wins. I think the sport
What do you mean? She lost the competition, but she won the moral victory. That is the definition of a moral win.
I don't think it had to do with a moral win at all. I think it had a long-term lasting win that had something that didn't have to do with her. I think this women's basketball is going to grow even more than it has been. And yes, you're going to try to say it's a moral win, but it has nothing to do with her.
She lost on the scoreboard.
It's a sport that has nothing to do with her.
100%.
I don't think she morally won. I think I'm not trying to argue that it was a moral win or it wasn't. I'm just saying that it had nothing to do with her.
I believe that she went out there with the goal of growing the game of women's basketball, and she succeeded with that goal. She lost on the scoreboard. She accomplished that morally. She was happy leaving that arena with a loss. I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but she could have won and grown the game, and I think the competitor in her would have told you she would have loved to have won as well.
Yeah, I think she would have loved to win at the three-point line. I think she was saying, the competitor in me is saying that this WNBA line doesn't mean crap to me if I want to go and prove that I can ball. So I'm going to ball from the three-point line. So I don't think it would have been a win for her if she went from the WNBA line. Because in her mind, it would have been a moral win. Because she would have been like, yeah, I proved that from a women's line I can do it. But I want to prove that I can do it. So I don't think it would have been a moral win if she went from the WNBA line.
I think if she beats him, you hear the same thing about the ball that Joe's already saying that he's heard people throw out there where the Boo Birds would have come out regardless.
You definitely would.
I get that 100%. She's
100%.
taking ammunition away from them and felt comfortable shooting and performed well from back there.
Because, again, she's not one of those ones who are, like, basically towing the line. She has really good range. That's why I can't stress that enough. I don't think in her head she was like, oh, my gosh, 2 feet's a huge difference.
I can't see any one of the three of us sitting here and saying we would have given her crap had she shotten from the
not us.
WNBA.
No, absolutely not.
I never had that standpoint.
I think that we are in the majority where you are going to have those outliers where it would have been just as impressive, if not more impressive, to see her win from the WNBA line, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think it comes down to what you just said earlier, though. Like, she just took some of the ammunition away, I think, is, at the end of the day, all she wanted. Like, I don't think if she won or lost from the three-point line of the NBA or the WNBA, I don't think it would have impacted it at all, like you said earlier.
I just wish we were in the days where professional athletes didn't let haters impact their decisions, you know?
I don't think she did. I think no, you're right. You know what? I think we do need to live in a world where some people let haters impact their decisions justly. I don't think you should let every hater impact your decision, but I think
So you think she should have been forced to shoot from the NBA 3?
No, what I think she should have done is exactly what she did. She was given an option, and she said, I want this to be harder for me to take some ammunition away from the haters of women in WNBA, and I want to go out there and prove I can ball, and she did.
That's facts. I can respect that take.
That was my from the beginning. I think that's why she did it, and that's why I think she's happy she did it.
I think it would have been a more historical moment had she beat her, because one day a woman will beat a man, and she could have been the first to ever do it.
I think
and
Caitlin
now
Clark
she
could.
won't be.
Yeah,
she could.
Do you think next year, if Caitlin Clark decides to go to the
No.
WNBA, do you think what's the next kind of matchup you want?
I don't know if you'll ever see that again.
Really?
You know what I wanted?
Steph's getting older. I would say, do you think Steph's over? Would you say Steph's over the hill?
No.
I mean,
I wouldn't say over the hill, not especially when it comes to 3-point
Dude,
shooting.
he's old.
Shooting is the last thing to go. Every
He
NBA
should
legend
be,
will
But
ever
he's
say.
old, dude.
it's not for Clay.
Yep. He also had devastating injuries.
Yeah.
There's been a little more of an external factor
Yeah.
other than just old age, because his body now.
That's the
is
thing,
just-
man. I thought in the last couple of years, Steph was going to start to lose a step, and he just hasn't. This is like
Right.
he's having a really good year.
Yeah, he's having a great
Do I have hole in
year.
my sock?
And that's
Do I
the
have a hole in
thing.
my sock?
Yes, you do.
Damn.
Church sucks.
I think
They're holding.
That one too, and they're in the same spot.
Nice.
I don't
Wonder why I
think
felt weird when I
he'll
was
ever
walking.
really be quote unquote over the hill, because I know you've disagreed with me about this before, but I have seen in the past where point guards get a little bit older and can't handle the ball as often, they kind of move them to a shooting guard.
You saying I disagreed with that?
Yeah. Because like Chauncey,
yeah.
because you were like he should always be the point guard, which I agree.
To a point. If he can take the role change.
That's
Yeah.
right. I just don't.
Because I
couldn't see him
just
as
see
a
like
catch and
you know
shoot guy.
Jason Kidd, Chauncey Billups, like Steve Nash. There's been a lot of awesome point guards who just eventually was like, hey, I can't handle the ball and go up on the floor. I'm like 38, 39, 37. I can't do this, and they move to a shooting guard and get to a corner and make great threes. So I think we will say that Steph's an over the hill when he quote unquote moves to that shooting guard. Like
agree
you
with
said,
that.
he may never ever do that. He might say, no, I played point guard my whole life. I'm not moving to shooting guard. I'm retiring.
And that's the thing, at mid-30s, he's moving at speeds that other mid-30 players don't.
Correct.
So, like, we don't know,
The only other
man. I
person
don't
you
know.
could say that about is like LeBron James in a different position.
And he's moving he's not moving with speed. He's moving with force that we don't see 40-year-olds move with.
Right.
Like, that's a completely different beast. It's crazy. We've seen two polar opposite careers just battle it out.
Absolutely.
Gosh.
All right. Well, moving on. I must apologize to both of you guys, and I'm sure you know exactly what I'm going to say. So last year I had what I thought was a incredible take, saying that to get people interested in the dunk contest, we should get quote unquote big names, or at
Like
least
Carmelo Anthony?
like Carmelo Anthony.
I forgot about that. That's where it
know,
started.
because it was a name to get people tuned in to watch the dunk contest. Well, the highest paid player in the NBA decided to do the dunk contest this year, in
God.
Jaylen Brown, and let me tell you
How
what.
did he come in second?
He came in second, and I was not that impressed. But you know what? I feel like the NBA had an agenda, and they were going to put him in the finals no matter what, because that's what's been everyone's complaint, saying you need to get stars in here. So, and to get more stars in it, they obviously didn't want their quasi star in Jaylen Brown to go out in the first round this year. I was not very impressed with Jaylen Brown, but I don't want to dog on him too much because he actually took a chance. He took a swing, did the dunk contest like we've been asking some stars to do, and he just didn't perform all that well. But great job for Mac McClung. He won again.
Poor Mac McClung, dude. He's like a court jester. They treat him like a clown.
Yeah, they just roll him
They
out every
just
NBA
stick him in the
All-Star
G
season.
League all year, and they're like, oh, we need an audience. We need revenue. Bring Mac up. Have him do a couple dunks, and then we'll send him back and see him next year. Like, that's how I feel. Like, I feel bad for the guy.
I felt bad for him this year because I thought in the first few rounds it was pretty obvious they were trying not to let him get to the finals.
Yeah.
I thought he got dogged on a couple of his dunks where
100% agree.
if Jalen's dunk was anywhere near what Max was in the finals, because that was when he dunked over Shaq, right?
Yeah, there was
the finals, and Mac didn't push off either on Shaq, which I watched it back several times. Dude, he grabbed the ball. That was it.
He didn't touch him.
He didn't push up. He cleared Shaquille O'Neal.
His legs too. Everything.
He cleared Shaq. Like, that kid's got stupid bounce.
There was
what did Jalen do?
There was
one. I saw the clips, but I don't remember.
There was one round where Mac jumped over 3 people, and then got like a 90. It was like a 48 and 49 and a half.
Yeah,
and then
it was a weird scoring.
And then in the same,
let the ball go.
Yeah, and caught it again,
which was insane.
In the same round that he jumped over 3 people, Jaylen Brown jumped over Kai Cenat, who's like 5'6", who was sitting down,
so he was like
and got the same score.
He's 5'9", by the way.
I don't believe that. I don't buy that.
He's 5'9", 5'10" with cleats on. Chad Ochocinco vouched for him.
It is hard because the other guys in AMP are pretty tall.
No, agreed. Yeah, no, selection is everything.
Yeah, me sitting down opposed to us 3 standing in front of each other. That's the difference.
It's just,
I just felt bad. And then Jaylen Brown's like big dunk was him
paying tribute,
gimmicking that he gets hated for not going to his left. So he does the simplest dunk ever, dunking with his left hand with a glove on.
He had the Michael Jackson glove on, man.
It was so stupid. Oh my gosh, I hated it.
Yeah, I mean.
Well, he also did a couple of tribute dunks, obviously. One to Dominic Wilkins, and then another one who sadly passed away. I can't remember his name.
I remember him doing the Wilkins one. I don't remember the other one.
And that was a big miss by the NBA, because remember, they cut away and you missed the dunk. You might have been playing 2K, and they had to then show the replay of the actual dunk because it cut away, and I was just like, good job, NBA.
Dang.
Yeah, no, not a great showing. Not a great showing.
Worst All-Star weekend I've ever watched, and that hurts me to say because I love the NBA.
I agree. Do you think the NBA just decided to, like, let's just turn in the script from last year? Because Dame repeated as well. So Mac McClung and Dame both repeated this year.
I hate him. I hate Damian Lillard.
Well, so was Steph not in the 3-point contest?
No, he wasn't.
He's only done like 3, which is actually kind of a lot.
Yeah.
3 is a lot.
Didn't Larry Bird win back-to-back-to-back? Or no?
I
knew that we're
but
talking different.
But also, you're bringing out a gem in Larry, though. That's a Hall of Famer.
Larry won one without taking his warm-up off. I know that for a fact.
He
Larry won one with a warm-up on.
Yeah, something Anthony Edwards couldn't do.
No. Anthony Edwards couldn't even score 3 left-handed.
Yeah, no, different forms of entertainment. Maybe that was, and all he had to say was tribute, and everybody would have been cool with it. It was a Larry tribute.
It's a Larry tribute.
Everybody would have been cool with it.
This one's for you, Larry. Point to him. They were in Indiana.
Larry would have come out of
wherever, in Indiana.
whatever hole he is living in Indiana.
He was there. He was at All-Star Week. He was another one that came in and talked to the people before the All-Star game. He was another one.
That's why they all played the way they did. Larry was like, "Hey, make some shots, guys." So I came out tonight, so give me something to watch.
I didn't even watch the skills challenge.
It was terrible. The clips I saw, I didn't watch either. You know that.
I watched the finals of it. It was all right.
The Pacers again,
was
only
cool.
ones that tried.
Yeah.
Because they were at home. Yeah, they were at home.
They were at home, and they tried. Yep. So that was pretty much the synopsis of NBA weekend, and it was a letdown.
It was a weekend.
Like usually, there's some clips. Like usually, like at least when I'm watching like the highlights or clips and stuff like that, I can find stuff. I didn't find anything that I was wowed by. Not a single one other than
Sabrina and Steph. That was awesome. That was it.
I was locked in for that.
The most exciting part of All-Star Weekend was a minute.
Yeah.
That's not good.
Well, yeah, it was actually of quote-unquote game time, 2 minutes and 20 seconds.
Ad revenue pays the bills, so they're going to keep doing it.
Absolutely.
The court was cool, too.
Court was cool.
Other than that, that was about it.
I like the court.
That's all I got for you.
All right, so switching subjects, we have the NFL Hall of Fame. This guy's is a little emotional for me because
pull it together, man. We're doing a podcast.
I'll try. And ironically, it's not even a Green Bay Packer. It's actually Patrick Willis. For those of you who don't know, I actually kind of became a Packer fan. I watched. The game was in 2005. Packers versus Atlanta was when I kind of became a fan. And then in 2006, my dad would be like, hey, the Packers are on. But I was still at a young age. I was like, oh, yeah, cool. Yeah, that's my favorite team, but I'm not going to watch. And then in 2007, was really when I full-blown started watching NFL football and was a lifelong Packers fan. So I'm a little emotional because Patrick Willis was in the 2007 NFL draft class. So this is a guy that I officially watched his whole career, and he is now going to the Hall of Fame, where, again, like, Dwight Freeney, who is also going to the NBA Hall of Fame, Devin Hester, Andre Johnson, some of those guys were kind of around before I was, like, official, like, watching it every single week, where Patrick Willis, like I said, he was there right when it was, like, said he was in 2007. That's when I buckled down and started watching it all in 2007. So just a crazy time right now.
Your first Hall of Fame career, huh?
That I saw, yeah, in its entirety is what I should say. Yeah. Versus, like I said, Dwight Freeney.
This is Julius Peppers, right?
Oh, and Julius Peppers, yep.
Is that okay? Because it just said Peppers, so
yep,
sure.
Julius Peppers, Packers legend.
Devin Hester, greatest return man of all time.
Yep, that was actually like the first Super Bowl I sat down and actually really watched. So talk about an opening kickoff.
Is Andre Johnson
Texans? Yeah.
No, I know who he is. Is he Hall of Fame though? You think?
I
don't. I kind of don't.
I did the math though, because I would say like Andre Johnson was always a top 5 wide receiver, and then for the most part, obviously late in his career things happened, but in his prime, which was 4 or 5 years, I would say he was consistently a top 5. And then when I did the math, I was like, okay, on some plays there's 4 wide receivers out there, 4 wide receivers times 32 teams. Basically they got him in like as a top 3% wide receiver for 5 straight years.
Yeah, but do I need a top 5% wide receiver for 3 straight years, or do I need a top 5% wide receiver of all time?
Is it bad? The most memorable thing that I think I remember about him was the brawl that he got into, where the helmets got ripped off.
Where he ripped the chains?
Like, yeah, that's the...
Who was that guy? It was against the Raiders, right?
I thought it was against the Titans.
I was thinking...
Oh, it was the Titans.
Infinity or something?
Infinity,
yes. Yep. That's the when you first said when I first saw his name, I was like, yeah, isn't that the guy that got in the fight? Yeah, I didn't know he was a Hall of Famer.
Yeah,
I know he was good. I knew he was
now.
good for the Texans, but I knew that he didn't play the rest of that game.
Again, the Texans are a newer team as well, so I don't want to say there was a little bias being like, hey, there's no Hall of Famers really for the Texans, but
they're like 20 years old, man.
Yeah. And this was, and ironically, Julius Peppers, same thing. He was the Panthers' first ever draft pick.
Yeah, but he's a Hall of Famer.
Oh yeah, absolutely,
for sure.
But I would say Andre Johnson, it's just so tough.
I don't think so. He doesn't have really enough the accolades for me.
I don't know though, but this gets into that debate of he put up good numbers, and look at the quarterbacks he played with.
Okay.
What year did Patrick Willis play in Green Bay?
He didn't. He played for the 49ers his whole career.
I thought that's what you were saying, was that he played for Green Bay.
No, it was his first Hall of Fame career that he witnessed go from
start
to
down.
Just during the general. That's where I was getting so confused, because I was like, I don't remember Patrick Willis ever being a Packer. So I was getting really confused.
He doesn't listen.
You should
to me.
keep looking, see if you can find it though.
Well,
don't stop till you find it, Tom.
I've been looking it up since he said that at the beginning, when he was talking about how you were first starting to tune into a Packers, and Patrick Willis, he was around at that point,
class.
And then I was like,
his draft class.
Yeah, he said it was draft class.
Boy.
That's why I asked halfway through. I was like, "Oh, you mean like the first one you've witnessed?" I was like, "What does he have to do with the Packers?"
That's where I didn't make the connection until the end there. That it was just the draft.
See, luckily I forgot I had my phone, so I stayed in the rabbit hole while you were talking. But Tom had an outlet, so he got the
I was
focused while
I
he
was looking it up.
Yeah, that's what
I was
I'm saying.
looking up the stats, and I kept looking it up. I thought Joe just said that he played.
No. I just meant like Dwight Freeney had already been in the league.
The way that you said sentimental. I don't think I've ever been sentimental about a player who's not on my favorite team.
Well, but that was I remember opening football packs, and I would get rookie cards, and there it was, 2007, Patrick Willis rookie card, and to then see his whole career, and now he's going to the Hall of Fame. It was my first ever draft that I actually legitimately watched.
Was Hall of Fame or what?
Yeah, that's a question to you, Tom. I said yes.
I don't know enough about it. I told you the only thing that I remember about him was that he was good with the Texans, but that he got into the fight. So I'm not qualified to answer.
He put up some numbers, and like I said, you don't remember. Can you name any Texans quarterback?
Derek Carr.
Oh, dang it.
You mean David?
Yes.
Yeah, David.
So good job, guys.
Also, Deshaun Watson, he was there for
David
that.
Carr, Fresno State, number 1 overall.
Was there?
Hold on, time out. Before you act like I don't know David Carr. David Carr, number 1 overall draft pick from Fresno State University, just like his brother. Yeah, and I believe that was also the inception start of the year of like the opening year of the Houston Texans they took him as well. So say I mispronounced and said Derek, and what kind of mother does that? Derek and David?
Yeah,
that's on her. I blame her for that.
Obviously, his prime years, he had Matt Schaub throwing to him.
I forgot he had Matt Schaub.
Which, as soon as the Texans were done with him, he immediately just became a backup.
I don't think you should be able to make it at the Hall of Fame in a precedence of if I had better quarterbacks, I would have been better.
But that was the thing. He still put up numbers with these bad
I know, but I'm saying is that he shouldn't be a precedence, though. In my opinion, an argument shouldn't be... For me... What ifs can't be taken into account when we're talking about a career that happened or a season that happened. Kind of like Myles Garrett.
Again, it was
hypothetically being able to get more sacks than TJ Watt. His double rate usage was higher. Yeah, well, you know who dropped back well more than twice as much as Myles Garrett? TJ Watt. You know who had more picks? TJ Watt. Sick of it. Sick of the slander.
I'm just saying that Andre Johnson had over 10,000 receptions, over 14,000 yards, and 70 touchdowns.
Did you say no?
That he shouldn't be?
Yeah.
I said I don't think he should be.
In 12 years.
That's what I said, no.
So he averaged over 1,000 yards every single season because he had 14,000. Obviously, only played 12 quick maths. That's over 1,000 receiving yards every season. So he's basically kind of like the Mike Evans, where it's like,
I was just thinking about Mike Evans.
Was he ever on a winning team?
Describe winning. What do you mean? I mean
playoffs.
Yes, he made the playoffs a couple times with Houston.
Did they win in the playoffs?
Like, yeah, as what seed? Like the wild card seed? Like, was the wild card even a thing back then?
I think so.
Yeah, I think there was just one.
Just one, yeah, it wasn't a double.
That just happened recently, didn't it?
Yes, that just happened recently. But yeah, for the most of his career, he played in Houston from 2003 to 2014, then Indianapolis, then Tennessee Titans. Like I said, I thought I'm just looking at his stats, and he had a great 6 or 7 year stretch here. I mean, 1,147, dipped to 851, but it looks like he was injured because he only played 9 games. Then he ramped that up to 1,500, and then the year after that, 1,569. So, like I said, he had 1, 2, 3, 4.
I think
5 straight years.
You're thinking about the lack of production that was being thrown to him, but you're also forgetting to think about the lack of production in the wide receiver room around him. He was the only guy.
But don't forget, back in that league, you weren't. Those years, the NFL has changed. We talked about this. It's more of a pass-happy league, where back then, again...
but you're still the primary...
Actually, I got a good
catch receiver of all.
Mike Evans, right?
No, I'm not. I'm going with somebody who is another snub from the wide receiver Hall of Fame room. What were his best years?
His absolute best year was 2008. Okay.
Actually, yeah, we'll go top year to start off. I guess
top year was 2008. He had 115 receptions, 1,575 yards, and 8 touchdowns.
So the yardage that beats my guy, but receptions does not beat his. Let me see. He had 1, 2, 3, 4 years with more receptions than that. What was the yardage?
1,575.
That is better than any year this guy's thrown up. But touchdown wise, you said 8.
If we're talking about a single year, his best single year.
Yeah, single year touchdown.
Oh, because that was just one season.
Yeah, I know. You're just resting off a best season there, but then I was like, this guy's sporadic, kind of all over the place.
Because his best touchdown year ever was 9. Most years actually was 8. He had
How many catches did he have that year? He got 9.
That he got 9?
Yeah.
He had 101.
Yeah, that's telling me you're feeding him the ball every chance you possibly have.
So I'm gonna go with another guy.
Those are
the guy that I'm looking at that is not a Hall of Famer, Chad Ochocinco.
He should be eventually, I feel like.
That's where I
tried to hit Ray.
We're looking at a guy with...
He didn't see me coming.
Actually, I guess he never did break the 100 receptions. Yeah, no, so he never did break the 100 receptions.
That's because he had TJ Houshmandzadeh on the other side for a while.
But, I mean, you've got a year with 93 receptions, 1,400 yards, 8 TDs. He had 10 TDs with 90 receptions. Like, he won.
I'd rather take those stats
4 years over 90 receptions, 1 year at 87.
I'm just bummed out here because I know we hate the coulda, woulda, shouldas, but in 9 games, he had 851 yards and 8 touchdowns. That was by far probably going to be his best year, and then he got injured. And then the very next year, he had 1,571, and it was his best year. How many
career tutters does he have?
Career 70.
Gotcha. So 67 but how I'm imagining games played.
Games played 193.
Yeah, so 166 for Ocho Cinco. Total yards?
Total yards was over 14,000. 14,185.
Yeah, he's 11,000 for Ocho. So I mean, and that goes to the longevity. So that's where does the longevity play in a situation where you're not winning rings or getting into, AFC.
I mean, like I said, I'm looking at this.
NFC,
he was productive
what is the word?
every year he was in Houston, and then all of a sudden, went to Indianapolis at the age of 34. He had 500 yards, and then at the age of 35, he played.
I won't fight you on it. Like, if you want to let him in, I won't be mad. I won't be mad if you want to let him in, but I won't be mad if we want to let him out either. But I think it's another great where we draw on the line in the sand.
Yeah, absolutely.
Every
just
time
average
we draw
over 1,000.
It is every year, with every sport, that line is going to get just a little bit finer and a little bit finer.
To me, I'm going to have about as much respect for him as I'm going to have about an all-star reserve, okay?
Okay.
Fair enough.
No, I'm just kidding. Good for him.
Yeah, congrats that he made it. Although,
better at football than I could ever be.
Same.
I just can't believe you threw Dwight Freeney down as far as you did on this list this year.
I just was saying notable names. But speaking of notable names not to make it, how are we feeling about Antonio Gates? Because at first I thought, I
didn't know he didn't make it. I didn't even know he was on the list.
Yeah, at first I was like, okay, yeah, Antonio Gates didn't make it. But I was like, yeah, but, we got Rob Gronkowski's better than him. Travis Kelce's probably better than him.
No, Travis Kelce definitely is.
And I was just thinking in my head, I was just like, like Mike Ditka, right? Didn't he play tight end? More of a pure tight end.
I'm really surprised he wouldn't make it. I guess if I saw his name on the list, I would just guarantee that I would just be like, he's a lock.
Who, Antonio?
Yeah.
It was the first ballot. I don't know.
It was his first
ballot.
First ballot.
Yeah. So, that's where you can't give I feel like first ballot's reserved for GOAT tier. You know what I mean? And that's where we can list off guys that are better than him. So that's where I see where your head's at there.
Right, but he has the most touchdowns in tight end history, which I was very surprised about. Because like you said, Travis Kelce is...
Young Drew.
And then Phillip Rivers.
And then Phil.
But I'm just saying, I was a little surprised. I always thought, Travis or someone would have the most touchdowns of all time. And I was shocked to learn. I was like, no, it's Antonio Gates. And I was just like, oh, wow.
I do think there's less of a precedent on the whole first ballot thing in NFL I think really the only ones who are super stern about that is baseball. now. Because y'all are real big on that still, right?
What?
Like you said,
baseball.
The first ballot is for GOAT tier status.
Yes.
Yeah,
and that's why the whole system's designed that way for for that particular purpose.
Because in basketball, Tracy McGrady made it his first year eligible.
Basketball, they really don't care. If you're good enough to make it, they'll let you in.
Yeah.
But I also do understand the sentiment, at the point of Hall of Fame status, the only way to, quote-unquote, have you anywhere above your competition is if you are one of those elite people who got voted on the first ballot. So I understand, why it still means so much to the MLB.
Right, because they're all, like you said, about tradition, too.
Yeah. And let's be honest, Babe Ruth is a lot more important to the game than a lot of other Hall of Famers, so he should be up there as high as you could possibly get him. And having a first ballot type of situation like the way the MLB does, I think is the only way you could really go about that.
116 touchdowns he scored. Again, who we were just talking about, Andre Johnson, had 70. Andre Johnson had 14,000 as a wide receiver. As a tight end, he had 11,000.
That's impressive.
Yeah. And you're telling me he is not. And he also made the all-decade team in 2000, Antonio Gates.
So you're saying Pat McAfee should be a Hall of Famer? Because I agree.
That's arguable.
Wow.
I feel like
because I agree.
He was an All-Pro for 70% of his career.
Yeah, and he made the all-decade team. Yeah.
I mean, all-decade. That is a huge nod in my head. It's like the
for the brand.
for basketball too, where they say like the top 75 players of all time and how they do that every 20 years.
How they rob people like Klay Thompson.
Dude, Klay Thompson couldn't rob anybody if it meant putting something through a basket right now.
Yeah,
that's all you got to do to protect yourself from Klay Thompson at the moment is put baskets in your windows.
Yeah,
he won't get through. He will not get in.
The league couldn't stop him. An Achilles and an ACL tear is the only thing that could, man.
Dude, I don't know what's going on in that guy's psyche right now, but how do you think he's going to be handled moving to the bench?
He scored 35.
So do you start him again after this?
That's what I was thinking about.
No, you keep.
But
him
I
in the
don't think
role.
you do. Yeah.
That's where I'm curious. Like,
I
how
think you
many
use him as a
games
spark.
of him going off do you before you're like, let's see if we start him off, and then if he has a dud game again, does it get in his head? Like, it's a little sitcom within the NBA season that I might actually tune in to see how it plays out.
The reason that I think you do keep him on the bench is because, like, you moved him to the bench on a lack of production, and then he produces better than he had, like, almost the whole year. What you did was the right decision.
Correct.
You know what I mean?
That's fair.
Even though at the end of the day, you got to drop the ego and the psyche and be like, you're right, dude. You just had the best game of your season, but I did this to try to help you, so let's ride this out and see how it goes.
Plus, the Warriors need a little help on the
and if he can come on,
depth.
and like that's the whole starting and bench thing. There's a big issue going on with fans with Syracuse now because they think certain players should be starting and certain players shouldn't. At the end of the day, Klay Thompson is going to give you as much points or as much minutes as you tell him to have, whether he's starting or not. So I don't think it really matters.
Like Manu Ginobili, he wasn't a starter, but I mean, my goodness, he played starter minutes.
Yeah, and Clay even mentioned that. He goes, Manu Ginobili made a Hall of Fame career off coming off the bench, so.
Right.
And he's already got a Hall of Fame career, so it's not like he's trying to prove anything now.
That's fair.
As long as he emotionally can accept it, that's the only, I think, roadblock you can run into.
Plus, like you said, obviously the other team has bench players as well, or not everyone is like the Warriors and having Hall of Fame players.
No, the Warriors are the only team with a bench, actually.
Going
I
to the
hope they
bench.
do.
So I think this is good for Klay because now he's playing against lower level competition. I mean, they're in the NBA, but not starter caliber. So that little, all suddenly that, I'm a half step slower compared to these starters, all suddenly are like, I'm actually equal to these guys.
I also think that him being able to watch what's happened with Russell Westbrook has kind of given him a good insight, too. Of what have you done for me recently?
Right.
The league and fans are. I think he kind of saw that and he's like, I don't want to do that.
Yeah. Plus, on the bench, you can also watch and see what the game flow
True.
is.
Yep. You get to
and
pick
your
up tendencies
spots,
and stuff. Yeah, see how the team's looking. There's no negatives. You get fresher legs being old and coming off of the, I'd say coming off is 2 years ago now, but 2 major injuries. Hopefully it keeps working out for him. I mean, Draymond's talked about ever since he's been back, he's been feeling better. And
ever since Draymond came back, they have actually been the third best team in the NBA.
Yeah. He talked about, too, how I always mess up his name. Politsky. I always get it wrong.
Oh, the guy that said we can't turn the ball over?
Yeah, he told
It's good coaching.
Got in Draymond's face and said, hey, stop turning the ball over. And Draymond was like, you know what? You're right. I'm going to try my best not to do that anymore.
As long as you continue to speak that way and be a leader like that, you got to speak up.
That's great.
He didn't punch him in the face, so good.
That shows.
Good step in the right direction.
I'm going to be honest, man.
What do we got for a weight matchup there? What do we got?
My God. 170 maybe against 255.
So it'd be embarrassing for Draymond.
Oh yeah, you're beating up your nephew.
I didn't know if it was another center. Or it was like a lower bench guy.
No, he's a 6'2" white shooting guard.
Does he have
so
red
Draymond
hair?
could step on him.
Red hair.
He does have red hair though.
So
I think
fiery, feisty.
Yeah. He played a handful for him. He's out of Marquette. He's out of somewhere in the Big East.
I don't remember. You know me.
Yeah, I think I know. He's been in the league 2 years. Yeah, something like that. 2 3
No,
years?
he's rookie.
Rookie.
Oh, then no, different guy. Who the hell am I thinking of? Who's the other redhead that came out a couple years ago?
Herder?
I think
That was like 10 years ago now.
Yeah, that was a while
We're getting
ago.
old.
He's already on a different team. He's no longer on the Kings.
He was on. He got traded from the Pacers too recently, right? Didn't he? Wasn't he
I
on
think he did get traded. Yeah, he's a good piece to move. That's why he's on the move.
Yeah.
He's a good 3-and-D player.
Yeah. If you're okay in the NBA, that might be the worst thing to be, because like you're getting traded constantly. Like OG Anunoby, like he's getting traded because teams want him, and then other teams want him more, so then they trade him again.
Right. And you're getting good assets back from him.
Yeah. And he's been producing, especially since he's joined the Knicks.
Absolutely.
I think DiVincenzo. He's actually
Okay. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
He's not with DiVincenzo's not with the Knicks anymore, is he? No, I think he is.
I'm not sure.
Who's Villanova, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right. I knew somewhere in the Big East. I didn't guess Nova. Nova wasn't my guess, if I recall. But Did no biggies.
Well, where did he go to college?
Nova. He went to Nova. When I guessed, I didn't guess Villanova, but I guessed I think 2 schools in
They
the
both
Big
went to
East.
Villanova?
Who? DiVincenzo?
No, I'm talking about the other one.
Who? I have no clue who you guys. The
It's
Pell.
like Podzeski.
Yeah, see, that's right. I still have no clue who we're talking about with that guy. I was looking up. The redheaded guy that I was
What did
thinking
you
of.
search to find that? You found that quick.
Redheads in the NBA. Not that difficult.
That's
Not an extensive
That's
list.
fair. That's fair.
Not a crazy list to go through.
I like where your mind goes.
Blake Griffin is at the title of every single page,
Makes sense.
and then there's like 5 or 6 other guys that are in there. So I probably can find this guy not too hard.
That is true. He might just be further down the list, actually.
just
when was the list we're in? Was it recently?
That one, that was just a scroll down when I saw he was the picture for that one.
I want to know who thinks of writing that article. Like, you know what the
a
world needs
redheaded
to know
writer.
how many redheads
There
there
are in the
redheaded
NBA.
writer. Yeah, right. Finally, my people.
Wow, how did we get to the NBA? We were talking about Antonio Gates.
I don't know.
Tom led a lot of it, too.
Mike said something about Klay Thompson, and I was like, you know
the
what?
all-decade team.
I was like, we talked a lot about.
Yeah, top 25.
I was like, we talked a lot about the NBA. I don't know if we're gonna have an opportunity to get back to it,
Yeah.
so we might as well hit on the Klay sucking while we can.
Absolutely.
That was an old one, too. I wasn't even going to go over it today. It just kind of organically flew in.
So, basically, more of the story, we think Antonio Gates is going to make it probably next year.
Yeah, he should.
I mean, next year, or the year after, he will be a Hall of
Yeah,
Famer.
I don't think.
It's just a matter of when he gets that knock on his door. Hello, friend. What he doesn't say hello, friend. What does he say? I can't think of it. Does he say the same thing for
I don't
everybody?
even know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
You've never seen anybody get like the knock on the door? Like, it's a knock on the door that you get from the NFL, and it's one guy that comes out and tells you about the Super. Like, they surprised Jimmy Johnson at the NFL on air.
Yeah.
I just didn't know what you were talking about.
Yeah, so everybody in the Hall of Fame, they get the knock on their door. It's usually I want to say it's in person, unless they're
they
somewhere
make it a point to
traveling. Yeah, unless there's some traveling somewhere where they can't reach them or something like that. But yeah, that guy comes out and hello, and he's got that iconic voice. Looks like a knockoff Jim Nance.
Yeah,
Jim Nance, except way bigger.
Way bigger.
And the voice is just as iconic, too. But yeah, no, great. He will get the knock on the door, I promise you that. I don't know if it'll be next year or the year after, but he won't wait long.
So, I guess the only person I know we kind of were debating Andre Johnson, and it might just be kind of like our generation. But that was the thing. Online, people weren't really complaining about Andre Johnson. They were actually complaining about Devin Hester. So I think this is a generational differences.
Stop. Yeah, no, people were complaining he got in.
Yes, because they
fight
saw
him.
him as a punt returner, kick returner, and that's it. Because he
the best one
ever. Yeah. It's the position that is vital, where he scored a lot of points for his team, for his non-productive offense that was the Chicago Bears and has since been the Chicago Bears offense.
Wasn't he the only person on that team to score in the Super Bowl? And it was the first drive of the game?
It was the kickoff.
Yeah, it was a kickoff.
It was
they
the
didn't score a
kickoff.
touchdown after that, right? Am I wrong?
I don't know if they
You
scored
had
after
Kyle
that.
Orton as
What
the
year was it?
quarterback.
You're good at this, Tom. I'll let you do it.
I found the guy. Is it Minion? No, you said Warriors? I'm sorry.
This year.
He starts with
What was the other thing you want me to look up? I'm done with the
Devin
redheads.
Hester. What year?
What year was that Super Bowl?
Yeah.
It was against Colts, right?
Yep. Peyton Manning's first Super Bowl.
Yeah, he had that fruition where they went to church the day before, and it was about confronting your fears, and that's why they kicked it to him.
Yeah.
Goddamn priest.
Literally.
Could have had a shutout in the Super Bowl, maybe.
That was actually one of the only bets I ever won.
2007 was the year.
Yep.
And what was the score?
I'm getting there.
Sorry.
Me and Devin bet. I won.
Good for you, man.
Yeah. He thought I was like a Colts fan. I was like, no, I just don't like the Bears.
You bet on the Bears? I wouldn't have bet on the Bears that year.
No, 29-17. So the Bears.
Oh,
put up
okay.
some
So they got
points.
10.
Yeah.
Okay, so he put up more than as much as your offense.
Yeah, no, like.
Wait, how many
But
points
he
did they
also,
score?
like, he also had the
10 outside of him.
Doesn't he still hold
So
the record
over
for
a third,
kick returns in a
7,
year?
14,
No,
21.
technically as much as your offense because the field goal is special teams.
Yeah. Well, he's special teams as well.
True.
So special teams.
He scored more than everybody.
In the words of one of the best Madden streamers out there, do you guys watch Sketch?
Nope.
Special teams, special players, special plays. That's what it's about,
Is
baby.
Sketch the one that wears the glasses and
Yep, and does the audibles, and yeah,
He's
he's,
like, yeah,
he's
okay.
very into character.
Yeah, yeah.
Special teams,
I
special players, special plays.
I do
That's
know
what
that
we
guy.
do here. Check Tuesday. Oh, dude,
I saw him.
I watch clips. I can't watch it all.
I saw him doing an E-Day, and the girl's like, "What do you like to do?" And he's like, "Madden." She's like, "Are you okay?"
It's so good, dude. He's so good.
What do I say?
Dude, so I've seen clips of him. Like, he played Vontez Burfict on Madden.
Oh, I saw
he
that,
played, I think he played Tyreek on Madden, too. Like, yeah, he's a very big streamer. He's very funny.
I just saw the perfect.
Probably not the most family appropriate at all times, but very funny.
So I think a lot of them were complaining about Devin Hester because
He has an NFL record 20 returns.
Right, but then I think what they were saying is there's going to be some other people coming up soon that they're like, okay, if you let Devin Hester in, there's a couple people here who have a little bit, obviously, less kickoff and punt returns because obviously Devin Hester is the all-time leader, but are only, 4 or 5 less than them did more on offense. So they were just like Josh Cribbs was a big name.
Devin Hester played offense for the Chicago Bears teams. He played corner for that Chicago DB. I don't know if it was a corner. I think they tried to mix him in and out of corner. DB.
That was the thing. They tried to play him somewhere.
It didn't work extremely well, but he served multiple purposes along with being the most feared returner in NFL history.
I think if you have the most of anything, you deserve to be in the Hall of Fame.
So going back to what I was saying about Lou Williams, because he has the most points ever off the bench. Yeah, I agree with that because it is my take.
But that's where I'd say single season records are different.
I think I
was just saying. We
I'm
all
with you.
eventually
double down. Yeah, you know what? Yeah,
I take it. Yeah,
I like Lou Williams other than him looking like a punk in front of Kobe trying to make him flinch. That was Lou Williams.
No, it was Ron Artest. Yeah.
I thought it was.
I vividly remember it being against the Clippers.
I thought it was.
It was against the Rockets.
I thought it was Barnes. I thought
it was Barnes, but it was the Clippers.
Was it Matt Barnes?
It was Barnes, but it was the Clippers. I was having deja vu there. I thought we had that conversation.
I thought it was Ron Artest in that series that like the year before.
The out of bounds. No, the out of bounds. We're talking about the same one. The out of bounds play where it definitely was the Clippers.
Was it?
It was Barnes because now I'm seeing it. Yeah, it's a tatted up body.
Is it Matt Barnes? Well, Ron Artest.
Kobe doesn't flinch when Matt Barnes fakes.
But going back to it, we draw that line at
it's weird. I even remember
single season, right? Like that doesn't count. So like the guy that wasn't there a guy that had so many pick sixes this year for the Cowboys corner?
Bland, yeah.
Yeah, like his record should be in the Hall of Fame, but I don't think that makes him deserving of being
I mean
in the
over
Hall
a
of Fame.
Career though.
Yeah, okay, that's so
that
yeah,
was
a
more
career
what I was
record. I just wanted to clarify for myself.
No,
there,
that's good. Yeah,
because I agree with that on your guys' end there. If you hold a career record in anything, in any one asset of the game,
what if he then? If Bland has the most career pick sixes, obviously he's got it for the season. What if in the
Hear
next?
Me out.
Then he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. If he has the most career,
maybe not the Hall, the corner of the Fame. Like give him like a corner room of like the
outside.
Call it the special teams corner of the Hall of Fame or something like that, where we can all agree special teams. It plays a vital part of the game of football, but when you look at it, an NFL kicker is doing nothing on a same day-to-day basis that any other position player is doing on an NFL team. You know what I mean? Like, it's such a different role that you could almost, have its own... So
who are we talking about right now? I'm just asking.
Where'd you get kickers?
Because I was talking about
I'm just talking special teams as a whole. Like, I felt like kickers was the easiest one to say that is different comparatively.
Well, I think kickers are in a league of their own.
So, and that's where I'd say Matthew Slater, the guy that just retired officially this year for the Patriots, who's, 6 Pro Bowls on special teams. Like, he is... In my mind, he is a Hall of Famer. He didn't play a position on offense or defense. But he is a special teams Hall of Famer where I think you are going to have more of those guys coming through
which is why people
there is going to be, hey, how do we separate...
I'm okay with that.
How do we separate the special teams from the football side of it? Because it is very different, and what those guys did was very different.
Well, I think they did separate it with Devin Hester, though. They said he made it in as a punt and kick returner.
I agree. Your position's clarified on there, where you know what I mean. You could say the same thing as like being a head coach.
Okay.
It's really, I guess, where do you want to?
Well, so wait. My question, obviously, this is an all-time ridiculousness, but what about Deion Sanders? He's in as a corner, but let me tell you what. I mean, that's all the records Devin Hester had broken. Deion Sanders is in as a corner, not a punt returner, kick returner.
But you don't think Deion Sanders would make it as a cornerback, though?
No. But we're saying, did Deion Sanders not make it as a kick returner? Because that's blasphemous.
Well, I don't think they had that back then. I mean, That would be, you'd have to look it up.
Okay.
Because if they just let him in, then they just let him in. I can't. I mean,
I thought you were saying you knew for a fact
No,
Deion was
I
in
didn't
as a
know.
corner.
I didn't know that it was strictly. I thought it was.
from what I saw, it was punt and kick returner.
I thought it was just like, yeah, that was a. I guess that would make sense. I just always thought they just let the guy in. It wasn't really quote unquote position specific.
I feel they might not, and if they don't,
And that's how they justified it. Was kick returner, punt returner.
if they might have just been. Let's say they did just say, okay, we're going to justify it by saying punt returner, kick returner. Then if you have somebody that has not quite as good stats as punt returner, kick returner as him, and say they had like 900 career receiving yards.
Oh,
So I didn't get a chance to look it up.
Huh?
I was trying to find Deion's bust to see what it said on his bust in the Hall of Fame, and my phone died.
okay.
Which is stupid because there's a charger right there.
Because if you know what I'm saying, if he's like, it is very clear that Devin Hester is being brought in because he's the greatest punt returner and kick returner ever. Now, if we had somebody who quite clearly wasn't as good but is still incredibly good, I don't think any argument would be like, oh, I don't know, he had 500 more receiving yards.
I was gonna say, so like,
You know what I mean? I don't think
Jamal-
that would sway it. Unless you're throwing up like 5K more. If you're throwing up the same amount of punt return and kick return and you're throwing up like 5,000 more stats over your career, then yeah.
So Deion Sanders enshrined in 2011, cornerback, kick returner, punt
There you go.
returner.
Oh, so it's all three.
I'm assuming, unless they just
yeah,
list
no.
what positions
Think
they
about
played.
it. They went as far to classify it punt returner and kick returner. So yeah, they are including those as two separate categories. Where to me, one's a spiral, one's end over end. That's the only difference that you got there.
Well, I
Yeah.
You're
guess
catching the ball and running it towards 11 men that are running at you. Terrifying.
So I guess the answer to this question will be on Devin Hester's, bust, like you said, to see if they also put like wide receiver,
They
DB.
also might just
That's
like, you
true.
just
list
put all
their
their
positions.
they might just
That's
do all
what
of them.
why
Because
I'm
Deion
saying.
also played wide receiver, didn't he? He had a couple snaps here and there. Like he wasn't a day-to-day wide receiver, but that's where I wouldn't say Devin Hester was a day-to-day wide receiver or a
Well,
day-to-day
one year
corner.
he was. One year he played.
Well, and that's where I think Deion had a couple of years where they tried to mix him like early on in his career before he started playing baseball. They were trying to get him the
That's
ball
how he
more.
got out of that.
It was
He's
in,
like,
it was in
I'm gonna go play
Atlanta.
another sport.
It was in Atlanta. But that's where it'll be interesting to see how they play it out for sure.
All right. Well, so only time will tell, ladies and gentlemen. We'll find out. Stay tuned. All right. So I think we should wrap this up with the breaking news today. The college football had a unanimous decision, and they decided to vote and change the college football playoffs for next year because it's now going to be 12 teams like we've been saying all year. Certainly one person over here was not saying it was 8. It's been 12 this whole time.
I stood my ground too on 12.
Yeah.
You almost swayed me a couple times.
I
You look
thought it was.
confident.
I think it was originally supposed to be 8, and then they amended those.
Either way,
plans.
it's always been 12. But what the news today was the way it's going to work is the 5 power conferences are going to get 5 automatic bids, just like how it works.
4.
Huh?
4 power conferences.
It said today. It said the
What
7
is-
plus 5.
What's the 5th power conference?
I didn't read the article. It said 7 plus 5.
Well, that's where but the 5 power conferences now that everybody knows.
Yeah, Pac-12 won't be there.
Pac-12 is the one you're missing.
Yeah.
So who is the power conference now? So that's where it made sense to
Yeah.
me that the top 4 seeds were going to the conference winners.
Just telling you what the.
I think you're.
you read the article or
Yeah,
the title?
that's where I'm 95% sure of this.
I have no
As a
idea.
Notre Dame fan who is not in a part of a conference, I did look into this deeply. Notre Dame's top seed that they
Did
could
you look
get
at
is
it today?
Notre Dame's top seed that they could get was a 5 seed.
'Cause-
And that is fair in my eyes because we don't play a
Conflicting
conference
stories.
champion game where you're going to have a lot of 8 seeds that are going to have to play, a conference championship game that will lose their conference championship game to a team that's going to be in a top 4 seed and they will then not make the playoff. So it's the trade-off that Notre Dame makes.
Let's see, news. Approves the 5 plus 7 model. Unanimous.
That means everybody. Just to clear up any confusion,
Right. Previously was set to be 6-6. So we're the.
I gotta make sure I stay in front of this mic. Kind of get off to the side.
1 through 4s received the first round buys.
The 5 plus 7 format still leaves the door open for a non-power conference.
Yep.
So, like you said, the Power 4 compromise, ACC, Big 12, Big 10, and the SEC.
Yes, so for the Power 4 will get automatic bids for their conference champions. They will have the 1 through 4 seeds depending on who is ranked higher amongst the Power 4 conference champions. The 5 through 12, those are at-large bids. That is how the system now works.
Do they have any small bids?
The first 4, the group of 4, they get a first-round bye. 5 through 12 play a first round. I don't know if there's a rematch-up. That would be something that would be interesting. I know some sports do that.
Well, it says right here, by moving to a 5+7 format, college football playoff leaders are simply realigning with the original premise of affording access to one team from outside the power conference structure, though the Pac-12 could eventually reform by adding schools from other leagues to compete alongside Oregon State, Washington State.
But next year that will not be the case.
Right. But it sounds like the year after, if all suddenly it reforms,
you're looking like 5 years out because you got TV deals, you got TV contracts that everybody just signed. So you would have to hope for somebody to leave, and then I don't know what your bargaining chip is as the Pac-12 of how are you guys going to create money when you have 3 teams? You know what I mean? Like you would need a lot to get that regenerated. So like you said, you got the core 4, and then you'll have just a random, probably Notre Dame independent.
This is great for you guys, man. You got a guaranteed lock almost every year now.
And then it goes.
It's very
top
schedule dependent.
Seeds.
All of it,
but you guys can really control your. Schedule, though.
Everybody can though. Outside of your division, but Notre Dame always plays an ACC schedule.
True.
So that's where.
Which is why some people don't like them, because they play an ACC schedule but aren't in the ACC.
But that only hurts them. That's what I don't
understand.
And
it helps the ACC so much money.
Like that's what. It lets the other schools.
So they're an independent. They have their
independent.
Yeah, but you're still getting money as the ACC.
You're cutting out a school.
Not as much though.
But you're getting more than nothing.
That's where
because you're an independent. You have your own network.
Our own network deal. Correct.
Yeah. But Joe, would you rather not have them at all, or at least get some of the money they make? I don't know why.
I don't like Notre Dame.
But you're not thinking about this from a money perspective. When Notre Dame comes to play you at home, you make money. It's your TV deal. It's an ACC sanctioned game when you're at home.
And also, Notre Dame is the only school in the North.
So you're making profits there.
Notre Dame is the only school in the North that can compete with Southern schools when it comes to football, like ad revenue.
And with the TV deals, not only
if we're talking strictly ACC,
because
Penn State, which is Pennsylvania, which is Northeast, definitely can compete with revenue.
I don't think anymore can.
Not as a standalone. It's not even close. Just because NBC pays
I don't know a whole lot of college football. I'll be the first to admit this. I just know that a lot of people get pissed off at Notre Dame that it's like in every sport but college football. You know, we welcome in the basketball and everything. They are official ACC.
Oh, no, I was wrong. Billions. $22 million a year is what NBC pays Notre Dame football. So that's where most teams are probably getting,
Which is why, like I said,
you're still getting millions of being in the ACC.
Just not as much as which is what my original statement was.
Yeah, but also I think a good argument to counter that would be that Notre Dame wouldn't make nearly as much if they weren't independent.
Yeah, that's where Notre Dame would make far less money being inside of a conference.
You guys are inside of a conference with the exception of football. You are ACC
but
everything
and that's where
football
TV contracts
runs
work by sport.
Yeah.
So your football TV contract is different than your basketball TV contract. So NBC went to Notre Dame and said, we are going to pay you this amount of money to give your TV rights exclusively to us.
Yes.
And they do that every year.
Yeah.
No, he gets that.
The ACC, so that's where you don't like it, is the ACC does not require that football be a sport that you provide.
Yes.
So that is where Notre Dame would have to go elsewhere with the rest of their sports.
I don't think Notre Dame wants to do, obviously.
They'd go Big Ten. It'd be more geographically orientated for them specifically. You'd be right in the mix with Purdue and Purdue,
yeah, but you don't want to go
Michigan.
anywhere.
It'd make way more sense for them geographically.
Because they jump from Big East to ACC with basically SU, so they're all used to.
Yeah, no, that's where geographically
it makes sense. But as far as the actual coaches, athletics are like, we're used to this.
But they're just making so much money being independent. It literally does not matter how good.
It wouldn't make sense from either either side, for the ACC to say Notre Dame, we're not going to play you on our schedules, they would lose out on more money on the ACC schedule.
But I'm just saying, if they join the ACC fully, obviously Notre Dame loses money, like you said, but then the ACC would get more money.
I don't think they would. I think they would lose more money. Because you're taking 20.
Because now NBC would be like, okay, ACC.
No, they wouldn't.
We would.
No, they wouldn't.
Because
if they did, they already would.
Yourself, you're conglomerating against yourself. I guess because then you'd be keeping any Notre Dame. You'd be, instead of splitting Notre Dame or road games, Notre Dame home games would then become payable to you, and you could sell them. But
like I said, I don't know a whole lot about college football.
I think you're losing more money because the reason that
I like that now Tom's really think about this.
Well, the issue is it would have to be a renegotiation between the ACC and ESPN, because that's where ESPN's partner is, or ACC
is the ACC.
Yeah, ACC network is partners with ESPN, so they would have to
go to ESPN and NBC and be like,
no,
they fight each other about who gets the ACC.
No, because I mean that's where Notre Dame and they do that every year essentially, and that's where NBC just comes with the bigger bag.
Right.
If the ACC allowed Notre Dame to join their conference, they would have to forfeit the right to be able to show their games until the contract's up. And then they would be taken into what the ACC has, and that 20 whatever million plus all the sponsors and the ad revenue that comes with it is going to be gone.
Yeah.
And then it's going to be fought over, and not as... I think it's not only going to be fought over, but it's not going to be as well desired because they're no longer independent.
Well, and then what do you do if
so
you're
they're going to be
Notre
willing to
Dame?
give them less.
You're not Notre Dame.
You know what I mean? Plus, ACC already has a contract.
Yeah, with ESPN.
So they're not going to restructure that contract once Notre Dame joins. There'd be no incentive to.
That's where, so they would have to do it at a merging acquisition time where they were coming up to contract with
ESPN,
and ESPN.
yeah.
I think
because they could do that. Then, like you said, if the contract's expiring, and say, "Hey, Notre Dame's going to come in. We're going to go to NBC unless you give us more money, ESPN." And then that's why I was saying they would then be fighting each other.
I don't see that
that's something
happening.
you could see. Dude, ACC Network under the Peacock platform. I feel like that's something you could see, especially with how much.
Don't give them this idea. Don't give them this idea.
Sports Peacock is pushing, like they were pushing more. Football games on than just Notre Dame on a week-to-week basis.
Peacock, don't listen to this. We're a small podcast.
And a lot of basketball games, too.
Don't do this.
They've been covering the Big Ten pretty heavily.
Not another streaming platform I would need to get.
I would hate it, but...
All right, yeah.
I'm happy I got YouTube
so,
TV.
it will be interesting to see how the college football playoff comes out, because, like I was telling Mikey, Notre Dame's trade-off for not being able to... A lot of Notre Dame fans' initial gripe is, we can't win a conference tournament, so we're a conference title, so we can't have one of the top
by
four
rankings, yeah.
But the top four are always going to be those Power Four conference, conference
so
winners.
They can always be the five,
Notre Dame,
unless
think
Pat
about
comes
it.
back.
Next year, hypothetical world, the dream world. I don't envision this happening with Notre Dame's roster. Although Notre Dame, we did bring in Plexico Burress, his son. Yep, he's coming to Notre Dame, baby. He's going to teach us how to keep that safety on. Gunshot.
Is he a safety?
I
know what you're alluding to. But if he was a safety,
he's a 3-star wide receiver.
Well, hopefully he doesn't know how to keep the safety on then, because then he won't be open as much. But I know the reference you're making.
Same.
Dude, I just don't want him to shoot himself, man.
All right, I want your ideal world. So they would be the 5 seed.
They could be the number 1 ranked team at the end of the year,
and they would be the 5 seed.
And they would be the 5 seed. So that's where you're like, oh, that's such BS. That's not fair. Notre Dame doesn't play a conference title game.
Yeah, championship game, yeah.
The SEC game, 9 times out of 10, you have a top 10 matchup. The loser of that game probably still not going to make the top 12. They could. But that's Notre Dame's trade-off is, hey, we don't get one of those top 4 spots. Fine, we'll do the play-in game to get to one of those top 4 teams in that next round is the trade-off. Yep. That is Notre Dame's conference championship game.
Or conference,
Yeah, that is going to be is that first round is now going to be Notre Dame's conference championship game, where you're going to have teams like, I'm trying to think of a good situation.
Georgia, just want to use them being they had a great season.
Ole Miss is the team that I want to use. They're on Alabama's side, even though I think Alabama might have gotten rid of sides. I'm not sure. It's going to be different now with I know Big Ten. There's no East-West to Big Ten. It's everybody's going to play as much of the schedule as you can with how massive that conference. You try to play as many other people as you can. top 2 schedules, they're going to play each other in the conference tournament now.
Top
So
2 records, right?
Yeah, so you could see a Michigan Ohio State championship, Big Ten championship in the future, which would be cool. But it throws off everything about how I'm trying to line this up for how I'm saying, Ole Miss is the next best team in their side of the SEC.
Okay.
Last year they were next to LSU. But say LSU, they're there. One of the two of them has 1 loss.
Okay.
But Bama's undefeated, so they're going to go to the conference championship game. That 1-loss team still going to be in your top 12. They're not playing a conference championship game either. So it's almost kind of a rest bye week, an additional bye week for them, knowing that they're going to be one of those top 12 teams going into. So there's going to be a lot of things that throw off situations here.
Yeah.
So you'll have some teams that play championship weekend that don't play in the tournament that are in the same conference. You know what I mean? So you have a third place runner-up in a conference that could be in the playoff that wasn't in the conference championship.
Right.
Georgia, Alabama play each other conference championship. One of the two, the loser of that game might not make it in, but Auburn or
some breaking news.
Ole Miss could get in there. You know what I mean? So it's kind of going to be interesting to see how it all shakes out.
I just got some breaking news. Well, some heartbreaking news, I guess. Legendary Vikings Adrian Peterson is hosting a sale at his home where he will be selling his MVP trophy, Rookie of the Year, Offensive Player of the Year trophy, and other memorabilia. Peterson is reported in serious debt despite making over $100 million.
Oh, my goodness.
What is the debt from? Do we know? I know this is breaking news.
That's crazy.
That is crazy.
We just see it far too often, though. Huh?
One of the best ever, though.
Yeah, well, yes, but unfortunately, this happens to so many athletes. You just hope that it wasn't like an advisor embezzled or anything.
You hope it's weird. It's one of those things where you hope it was his own fault.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
right.
The situation happened. You don't want it to happen.
Mil, and it says after legal fees.
Okay.
So I'm reading them.
Was it
CBS Sports?
Didn't he get in some hot water when he was spanking his kid?
Yeah.
Wasn't that? Didn't he get in legal troubles for that too?
I think legal trouble for that, and obviously when you're suspended, you're not paid.
Yeah.
And you never know. Again, he was coming off MVP years. You don't think your life's gonna go bad. You're kind of just spending a lot of money because you were MVP, not really saving it. Again, this is just speculation. We don't know. This
the official quote from the lawyer. I will scroll down a little bit. I am unable to go into detail at this point.
Right.
But I will say this is yet another situation of an athlete trusting the wrong people and being taken advantage of by those he trusted. Adrian and his family look forward to sharing further details when appropriate. That was CBS Sports.
Oh, you hate this. Again, I know you want to help out your brothers and your fam and your friends and be like, oh, okay, he's a good financial advisor. You really should get a third party.
Yeah. You can keep the friendships, but keep them friendships and just friendships.
Or if you want to help your friend out, like get on his feet, hire like a third party and then like kind of split the money, or like 2/3, 1/3, where 1/3 of.
Well, I'll help you out, but I ain't giving you access to my financials.
A lot of these situations, they aren't. It's not even a financial advisor. It's the manager that's. Hey, I know some real estate we can buy up and flip it, and I can all go to credit.
It's too often.
It can be.
You feel so bad for Adrian Peterson trusting the wrong people.
Oh, this was like an hour and a half ago, but apparently I just now saw it.
I looked at my phone. I don't.
What a way to wrap it up. Maybe AP needs to get in touch with T-Pain and get some advice there on some of the monetary issues. I know T-Pain, he looks like he's thriving after coming out of bankruptcy himself, so.
Like I said, you just hate to see it, though.
Hate to see it. After somebody who had such a great career.
Yeah.
Do you get one last thing? Do you guys know, other than the gold jacket and possibly a ring, do you get anything else going to the Hall of Fame? 'Cause,
how much more do you need, Joe? Golly.
I'm just saying, for him, if all suddenly it's like, hey, I'm retired. He's been retired. Maybe he tries to get to the Hall of Fame like quickly, like next year or the year after, if you need a little extra cash. Again, I don't know. Or you could sell your Hall of Fame. I mean, obviously he's selling all of his memorabilia right now.
What was the question?
Do you get any money if you make it into the Hall of Fame, or do you just get the ring and the gold jacket?
I'm pretty sure you do.
I don't know.
Is there a ring?
I'm pretty sure there's a
Pretty
Hall.
sure.
Yeah, there's a
I'm
Hall.
sure.
Pretty
I
sure.
could be wrong, but I think so.
I thought
at
I
least
thought it
some-
was just the bust. They get the bust
Well,
in
you get
your
the gold-
place in history.
You get the gold jacket, and I think you get a Hall of Fame ring, or some sport gets. I'm pretty sure you get a ring.
That's where I'll look it
There's
up.
a
I'll
lot
put it
of
in.
sports.
Tom, do some editing here at the end.
Tom-
Flash some Hall of Fame rings if there's any out there.
Tom, there's a lot of sports
Put
out
one
there.
on my
I'm sure
finger.
some of them must give out rings.
I gave you the bat last week.
I saw that, yeah.
I gave him the bat.
I'm trying to step up the game, man. It's all about production, Tom. Production value, production
Sign
value.
us
production
off.
value.
All right, who's signing us off?
And that's it for this week's episode of Talking Athletics with MTJ. I'm one of your hosts, Mike Papa. Joe led you off this evening, and Tom was here along the ride, doing the best research he possibly can, as
On
he
the
always
fly.
does. Always on the fly. Thanks for joining us. As always, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Share, tell your friends, tell your dad, your mom, your cat, your neighbor, your neighbor's cat, your grandpa, Joe's grandpa, my grandpa, Tom's grandpa. Maybe they'll all like to talk about it. Who knows? But we'll see you next time. Thanks for joining us yet again. Peace out, everybody.